This is Freemasonry in the Bakken podcast, episode 7, part 1 of a two-part series on the Cardinal Virtues. Today, we're talking about prudence and temperance. I'm Nolan Overton, a Master Mason Shriner and Order of the Eastern Star member.
And this is Dr. Robert Bear. I'm a Master Mason and member of El Zeco Shrine.
And I'm Tyler Hall, a Master Mason, Shriner, Eastern Star member, and Senior DMLA.
The views, opinions, and thoughts shared on the show are that of the individual host or guest and not intended to represent the entire show, other co-hosts, Freemasonry, independent body, or grand jurisdiction as a whole. We try to have as much accurate and correct as possible, but reserve the right to be human and make mistakes. If you feel we have a wrong fact or have a difference of opinion, we encourage you to contact us via our contact page on the website for a mature, friendly discussion on the fact or topic. All right, and on this episode, we're talking about 2 of the 4 cardinal virtues. And Bob, I believe this is your suggestion. Great suggestion, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when we talk about the 4 cardinal virtues, we were talking about temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice.
Correct.
However, due to how much there is to talk about, we've split this up, and we're going to talk about prudence and temperance this evening.
I think the reason that I feel that it's important for us to talk about this is we learn about these cardinal virtues in the apprentice degree, our first degree, and these are basically the 4 building blocks of essential being a Mason. And I think that it's important for us to explore each one of them because the only time we do hear about them is in the first degree. So that's why I thought it'd be a great topic for the 3 of us.
And just to kind of expound on that, it's not only within Freemasonry, but it's within Plato, I believe, first pinned these.
That's correct.
And they've been around since most of the major religions around the world. And any institution, religious or otherwise, somehow integrates the cardinal virtues in some fashion because they are that important.
Right. And we really didn't see these cardinal virtues being mentioned in Freemasonry until like the 17th century. It was, I think, 1785 where we saw them.
Okay, Tyler, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, just that the fact that in the previous episode we talked about the 3 principal tenets, brotherly love, relief, and truth. And I think these cardinal virtues kind of mask in together as far as what we should be doing as men to strive for those as well.
Oh, I agree. And to actually bring that up, I posted in a couple different spots where Masons tend to hang out on the social webs. What were your quick thoughts or on the 4 cardinal virtues of Freemasonry: temperance, prudence, fortitude, and justice? Are they stressed enough, not enough, too much? Did you even know there were the 4 cardinal virtues in Freemasonry? And we had one brave brother make a comment.
Okay.
And I won't call him out, but the way it was stated was, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, I think we fail miserably when it comes to these things. Maybe not to the same degree, but our society has drastically changed the direction of everyone's moral compass to where we accept much more than we would have 40 or 50 years ago, but it's sad, but we're all guilty.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that.
Well, what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'd have to sad but true, but I think we can get back to it.
And I think not only in Masonry, but as a society as a whole, it's our responsibility to make sure we are upholding these cardinal virtues. As has been stated in a few different references I found, without these cardinal virtues, not only Masons, but society as a whole pretty much has nothing.
Mm-hmm. And if you're going to build a foundation upon anything, you need to build upon something that's strong and will withstand the test of time. And I believe that these cardinal virtues do just that.
Exactly.
Right. Agreed.
And I think we should take up prudence as our first one. But before we get into prudence, Bob, who is sitting to my left?
That would happen to be my wife, Susan, my better half.
And it's a pleasure to have you in the studio with us this evening.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Bob, why is she joining us this evening?
Well, it's kind of interesting, Nolan. Last night, I'm sitting up late and I'm going through show prep, and I'm going through all different versions of definitions and that, and trying to make sense of it. and sometimes I need some fresh ideas. So I go for my better half, and I said, "Hey, Susan, would you sit down and just go over these virtues with me?" And she was actually excited to do it. And as we got into some really good discussion, and I thought, wow, I think we ought to switch places for tomorrow, because she was giving some really good stuff.
And Tyler, let me tell you how this panned out earlier today. Right. He was telling me that, I came in to set stuff up, and he said, before you leave, Susan wants to tell me some things to make sure we mention. And I looked at him and go, no, if it's that important to her, she had better be there with us. So, Tyler, that is why she is joining us this evening. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that's great. Another set of yours.
And in my opinion, this exemplifies that not only these virtues, but Freemasonry is not just for the men, but it's for the family and society as a whole.
Absolutely. Well, we're part of a Masonic family, and Susan and I have been married going on to 23 years. So, she's been a part of Masonry and that one way or the other for the past 23 years.
She's put up with you for 23 years.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So do you have any opening words before we start on Prudence?
Nope. I'm just going to follow your lead, and hopefully I won't get as passionate as I did last night. I got a little upset talking about...
You're welcome to be as passionate as you want, because I can always edit you out.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. That's a deal.
Can I have that button for later on after the show?
Yes, it's a modification of the easy button. It's called the mute the wife button. But it usually comes with a thumbtack in the rear. All right.
I do want to say one story, in the almost 23 years we've been together. My wife never thought she would ever put makeup on a man, but then I joined a clown unit one year, and
he actually owns more makeup than I do.
That's the lengths she goes for me.
Fantastic. All right.
Okay.
Tyler, start us off here. What's Prudence?
Well, according to one site here, Preston first introduced it into the entered apprentice degree as referring to what was then, and long before had been called the four principal signs, but which are now known as the perfect points of entrance. Preston's eulogium on prudence differs from that used in the Lectures of the United States, which was composed by Webb. It is, in these words, prudence is the true guide to human understanding and consists in judging and determining which properly what is to be said or done upon all our occasions, what dangers we should endeavor to avoid, and how to act in all our difficulties. So for me, that kind of means that we're just being able to judge, our actions of what is appropriate to do at any given time, and just having that strength and wisdom to know what's going on.
I found one site that actually called prudence by this is supposedly quoting Aristotle, so take it as you will. Right reason and action is a way to sum up prudence, and I've actually heard prudence be referred to as wisdom as well.
Yes, that's what we found.
Right. And I add in there that wisdom also includes mind, heart, and soul. So it encompasses all of it.
The physical trinity.
Yes.
Okay, I found a bit of a different definition for prudence. And in the one book that we read last night, it said that prudence is basically a symbol of wisdom. And they didn't want, they said a lot of times prudence is exchanged for wisdom, but they said that's not what they want. That's not what their goal is.
Who's they?
Was that? I think that was in the book.
Is it a Masonic book?
Of Symbols.
Okay, so
was that in your book of symbols?
Okay, so it's a Masonic book. Okay, so
right.
they referring to
right.
So okay.
Right.
Because I even found resources from CatholicEducation.org. So, there's different resources. Okay, so you're referring to a Masonic definition about what they say is not, you said it's not wisdom, it's...
It's a symbol of wisdom.
Okay.
Thank you. It says that if you try and make prudence equal to wisdom, that it actually limits the definition that they want for prudence.
Kind of in the same token that a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So, and a lot of what he had printed off and we looked at was very different. So, I looked up the definition of prudence, and by definition, prudence is the exercise of good judgment, common sense, and even caution, especially in the conduct of practical matters. So, to try and explain this to myself, and when we were discussing this last night,
she had a great example here.
To me, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Good answer.
The example I thought of was for police officers, which unfortunately is a very controversial topic right now. But a cop, for instance, a cop who responds to a domestic violence call exercises prudence by first calming the situation, separating the parties involved, questioning them separately, trying to determine what has transpired before he got there, before he or she decides what needs to happen next. To me, that's an example of prudence. And the definitions that we were getting, that's what they want Masons to use for prudence, is to not to jump to conclusions, to be calm about things, to approach situations in a more calm manner. Yeah.
State of mind. I think I do that every time when I'm working with a couple here in marriage and family therapy. I got to listen to both sides, not jump to conclusions, and try to work through the middle.
Now, Tyler, what did you think of that definition?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with it. When we talked about, the ability to judge, actions with regard to, what's going on, I was, kind of that same light of using the common sense and using, not jumping to conclusions, but, just that ability to judge between the actions of what has happened, is happening, and what will happen.
Right. Now, one thing I've been picking up on all these definitions is the word common sense. And I think that's where we're starting to lack as a society, is that common sense.
Right.
And Absolutely. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I might get hung on social media for this one, but our social programming, whether it be TV, social media, or even discussions on the street, are now training us to make rapid, quick judgments and move on. When I started, I started in the internet, I was teaching internet classes back in the mid '90s or late '90s, 97, 98. They even had statistics then.
Okay,
yes, thank you. Statistics then showing how the average attention span of an adult, who in Western society, meaning those who had internet, unfortunately at the time, that had gone from like 30 seconds down to less than 10, which was then affecting things like commercials and advertising. So now they had to adjust the advertising, which is a majority of our society, whether you're trying to talk your wife into letting you go out to the bar or you're trying to buy toilet paper. Everything's a form of marketing, but our society has gotten to the point that it's rapid, quick judgment based on lack of facts. It's quick impressions, and that, unfortunately, is a direct assault to prudence.
Well, and I think what aggravates that or accentuates that or makes it worse is the fact that is social media, because there's no face-to-face interaction, where when you have a conversation with someone face-to-face, you're reading body language, you're reading facial cues, you're reading inflection in
and you're not
voice
afraid to
tone.
say something that would aggravate them because they can't take a swing at you. Sadly, that's true.
But not only that, I mean, you can write something, you can write a simple sentence, and it can be read by 5 different people and taken 5 different ways. So that's a big problem, I think, with social media, is that, you can type something to someone, and it depends on the mood they're in when they read that, and they're going to take it a different way.
Well, I agree. And the other thing is, I think, as Nolan brought up, we're forgetting about common sense. So we're being told people don't want to have to think on their own. They want to be told how they should think.
How dare you make me think?
Oh, I know.
They don't want the responsibility.
Exactly. They don't want the responsibility. So in a sense, we're giving up our free will, because we would prefer that someone else tell us how to act, what to do, and not be held accountable for making our own decisions or choices.
Well, and I had heard one time that a person only has so much, I guess you could equate it to a free will battery that you have during the day. And the more choices you have to make, the more that gets drained, which is why at night you make more rash decisions. Your self-control, especially when it comes to diets or exercise, basically starts to dwindle, is you've made too many choices. You don't have that control. You don't have that choice. You just give up, and it's quick, rash decisions just so you don't have to think. So, Tyler,
yes,
if you, on any given day, would you hope to make less decisions than you have to make right now if you could have that choice? On an average day, think of how many choices you have to make, and would you gladly give up those choices if something was easier?
I would not, just because I love my job. I love what I do. I'm an engineer, and I have to, have those common sense. I have to, to have that problem-solving skills, and, to give that up would be giving up my job, would be giving up my livelihood, would be, giving up my networking and marketing out in the, when I go out to meet clients and stuff.
I don't think that's the norm, though, and it's unfortunate, but I don't...
That's admirable of you.
Yes, it is. But I think most people would prefer to make less choices.
In my situation with the volume of children I have at my house, even something as simple as the pajamas or what type of vegetable to have with dinner can become a painful process. Trying to appease. And that's another thing is, making choices or prudence, being prudent, not a prude, but being prudent
right.
is with and this is my opinion, in the era of political correctness, you don't dare make somebody mad. And being prudent has the potential to make somebody mad because you may not respond or agree with what they say, and now your butt's in court.
Yes.
Right.
Or something similar, which then has a direct effect on the common sense. Yes, it may not be a good idea to do XYZ, but not doing XYZ could get you kicked out of your homeowners association or... thrown out of your social club or laughed at work or bullied on the internet.
Right.
So you're giving up those personal freedoms, like you said, that prudence because of fear on some levels.
Well, and I don't know that I would agree with the statement that you're giving up your free will because it's still a choice. You're making a choice to let this battle go. I'm not going to fight this battle. So I am making the decision to... allow this situation to happen. The next time, maybe I won't. Where I think society is giving up their free will is when the government is getting too big and people want the government to make all their decisions for them. So when something doesn't go wrong, it's the government, it's the politicians.
But if I ignore it, it'll go away.
Yeah.
That's a time proof. I've learned this from all my kids. If I ignore it, it'll go away, and somebody else will deal with the problem.
Yeah.
But okay, now let me ask Dr. Bear.
Yes.
This is a question of your specialty.
Yes.
Now, as all Masons are taught to use prudence.
Right.
But as we said, it's a thing of common sense. It's judgment. It's one thing to say it, and for you to say, yes, I will use prudence. In your field of expertise,
okay,
how actually hard is it for someone to absorb from somebody who may not have the best common sense to actually start using common sense or to absorb a virtue like prudence? because we all, one of the tenets of Freemasonry, and you see this everywhere on the internet, to make good men better.
Right.
And as we're saying, to society. But how hard is it to actually, for a person, on average, everyone's different, to integrate something like prudence into their daily life?
I think for the most part, it's, believe it or not, very difficult for people to want to change. I think we get so wrapped up in issues at work or issues, let's say in the media that's going on, that we sometimes, as our personalities develop, we have a hard time changing.
No, that makes sense. And honestly, if it was that easy to change, we wouldn't have a self-help industry that makes $1 billion a year.
Well, exactly. I mean, oftentimes, in when I'm doing therapy here, many times it's the wives that come in here before it's ever the guys that come in asking for help. I think as men, we have this stubbornness within inside ourselves.
We do not. We do not.
I've never met
Tyler, are you stubborn?
No, never.
We do not have these problems.
I think there's this thing that we look in each morning when we wake up. It's called a mirror that we sometimes forget.
A what?
You know that thing? That's a reflection? Yeah, that thing that hangs on the wall that our wives spend many hours in front of.
Oh, that.
Yeah, watch it. You've got one here.
I sometimes think maybe we need to spend as many hours in front of it too, to look at the, the reflection that's coming back, because a lot of times I think we give up common sense, or we forget what we're doing and why we're doing it, and we forget what's most important for us. Frankly, we become self-centered.
Can you say can you call it a habit and make prudence a habit? And I know that from reading some of your books, it takes 21 days.
21 days to change a habit.
Change a habit.
Yeah.
That's 52 hours. I counted it out once. 53 hours, something like that.
That's a lot of time.
When I was trying to quit smoking, yeah.
But
not 53 hours. 503 hours. That's what it was.
I was going to say 53 doesn't sound like enough.
My math,
okay.
my math ain't so good. My smarticles are breaking here.
So I think many times we got to go back to what's important, and I think that's why it's important for us to come back into our lodge versus being by ourselves, so that we can remember. Number one, when we did the 3 tenets, again, bringing back brotherly love. We're not just in this for ourselves. We're in it for the good of everybody. And these principles are to help us to become a better person and closer to God, which means the learning to be the better man, learning to be the better husband, learning to change and look at, actually open our eyes and say, instead of blaming other people and not taking responsibilities for the causes or the problems within the family, but actually looking in the mirror and saying, what am I doing, or what am I doing wrong, and what do I need to change?
Maybe you could look at lodge as a support group.
There you go.
And my wife actually paid the Masons a very high compliment one time, and I'm not sure if she knew she did or not, but I think she meant to. But what she had basically stated is that if anything were to ever happen to me, she would not marry a man who wasn't a Mason. That would have been that's a prerequisite for her.
Wow.
That's
great.
I would say that's a compliment.
Just from everything she knows. So, but all right,
we're going to get Lakota on here too.
We're going to try.
Absolutely.
I've tried on other projects, but anyway, Tyler.
Yes.
Let's move on. I think we're getting to about that time. We need to move on to temperance. What is temperance?
All right. According to the website again, the temperance, the Freemason who properly appreciates the secrets which he has solemnly promised never to reveal, will not, by yielding to the unrestrained call of appetite, permit reason and judgment to lose their seats, and subject himself by the indulgence in habits of excess to discover that which should be concealed, and thus merit and receive the scorn and detestation of his brethren. And lest any brother should forget the danger to which he is exposed in the unguarded hours of dissipation, the virtue of temperance is wisely impressed upon his memory by its reference to one of the most solemn portions of the ceremony of initiation. Some Masons very
Tyler?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I think temperance should have been used with the explanation of that one. You're doing a fantastic job. Whoever wrote that should have used temperance.
It's almost...
Okay, finish. I'm sorry, finish. Go ahead and continue. All right, I'm sorry.
Well, halfway.
All right.
We'll just, we'll see.
Or can you sum it up for us? Because one definition I have for temperance is that moral virtue that moderates the attraction of pleasures and provides balance in the use of all things. It ensures that the will's mastery over instincts and keeps desires within the limits that is honorable. Basically saying what you were saying as far as keeping secrets, etc., etc.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me just dot it and do this last sentence here, maybe.
All right, there you go.
And so on and so forth, and ending in it leaves to every man the indulgence of his own taste within due limits, and demands not abstinence, but only moderation and temperance in anything not actually wrong.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, I see Susan wincing over here, so I'm going to have to defer that from us to her and see what smarticles of wisdom she can impart upon us.
Okay, well, the first thing I noticed that I winced at was the mention of the purpose of temperance is to keep secrets. And that was one thing that I noticed when we were going over these 4 cardinal virtues was...
Once again, that's from Masonic reference, from Masonic
yes.
sources. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
They, especially from Texas, I love the state, no offense to the state, but Texas wants to use, they feel the need to use secrets or the need to keep secrets in order to force Masons to incorporate these cardinal virtues into their personality, whereas I think it should be it should be encouraged to incorporate these virtues into your personality, into your daily life, and then the keeping of the secrets will become natural. You actually won't have to work at it.
So basically, what she's saying,
and that's a lot of the definition from what, the Texas definition is a lot of what Tyler was saying is about the secrets, but no.
Right.
Sum it up for us?
Well, I see it as we keep the secrets because we want to keep the secrets, not because of what would happen if we divulge what they are. We naturally would do that based on the fact that we follow temperance.
Right.
Now, and my, I gave my quick shot definition, but for me, temperance moves so far beyond that. And I can see where the frustration with that definition, because even when Tyler read it, I'm going, what does temperance have to do with keeping the secrets?
Mm-hmm.
To me, temperance it's moderation.
Right.
You have mastery over your will. You know not to spill the secrets. Right. You know not to tell your wife's weight. Right. You know to know when her birthday is.
Absolutely.
And anniversary days.
Yes.
You know not to ask another woman her age. These are things this is examples of temperance.
Yes.
You don't go out and get drunk. That's temperance.
Right.
It involves the secrets,
Right.
But these references, these Masonic references, focus strictly on how it should be applied by the sounds of it to Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And it's almost at the very end they're getting around to the bigger pictures of society that we should all exercise temperance in our actions.
Right.
We don't need the lift kit. Well, lift kits are cool. Some of us need the lift kits, but we don't need to be getting drunk every weekend. We don't need to be smoking packs of cigarettes. You know, we don't need to be
extremists.
We don't need to be buying everything, keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
We should use temperance and master of our own will, going, you know what? The 50-inch is fine. I may not need the 72-inch.
Right.
I can still see it from across the yard.
Right. And just so you know, I kind of left a few things out of that definition that was read, including that, in some Grand Lodges, they, declare the use of stimulating liquors in any quantity a Masonic offense, which I think that is an extreme. But,
Wow.
I think...
That's not temperance, that's abstinence.
Exactly. And for me, it is the moderation of the tempering the appetite and stuff, but as well as the practice of self-control, like we've kind of hit on before, and restraint.
If you have the virtue of temperance, it doesn't matter how much stimulating liquor is in front of you, you're not going to take it to an extreme.
Absolutely.
So it's not an issue.
Restraint.
Exactly.
As I was thinking of temperance, I was reminded when I was a young intern back in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, doing my internship as a master level clinician at the Harrisburg State Hospital. Of course, I thought I know everything and I can say everything. And obviously I was saying some things to individuals I wasn't supposed to, or I wasn't saying them the right way. And I can remember my supervisor coming up to me, and she pulled me aside, and she gave me this advice. It was, loose lips sink ships. And
I've heard that
at first I didn't understand what she was saying, and the more I thought, I was like, okay, so that was a learning process for me. So that's like on one side of the scale here, where you have to be, hold back. You don't have to tell everybody everything, and there's some people you don't tell anything, and there's a reason for that.
Right. And I'm not proud, but I'm not ashamed that I have not shown temperance in my past like I should have, to the point to where there's no chance I could ever run for political office. And I know this, but I've learned through Masonry and just growing older the art of temperance. And I think that's one of those things you have to learn, and it comes with age to a point.
Yes.
Yeah, maturity helps.
Oh, well, I think maturity is part of temperance. I think it's very difficult for a young person to exhibit a lot of temperance because they're still learning.
I'd have to completely agree.
The one thing we also discussed about, we were going over these 4 cardinal virtues, was going back to the fact that, there are some lodges that want to almost force Masons to comply by saying you have to do this in order to keep the secrets, which I completely disagreed with, because I don't think that's the real reason that Masons want to adopt these virtues. They want them because it makes you a better person. So the example we come up with of a different way to try and encourage this is, if your wife, and this might be too close to home for you right now, but if your wife is stressed, if the kids are getting on her nerves and she's just at wit's end, you don't go to your wife and say, you know what, you need to calm down because these kids are not going to calm down until you do it. So you do whatever you have to do.
You
to calm
never
yourself down.
tell a woman to calm down, ever, for any reason.
So in other words, you would
need
go
to take
her,
a chill pill, dear.
Yeah, you know what?
Unless
You've
it's the
tried
home-
that one before. You know what, that happened.
Unless it's the home neuter kit, you don't tell her to calm down.
I'd be asking you guys if I could stay overnight.
But the proper way to approach that situation would be to say, you know what, hon, it's been a long day. It's been very rough. The kids have, given you a hard time. I think tomorrow you should take the day and do whatever you want to do. You want to go shopping, you want to go to the spa, you come home, you take a bubble bath, I'll take care of the kids. That day away for your wife will make her feel worlds better.
Right.
And you will accomplish the same goal, and she will do it.
And you've shown temperance by not losing yours.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Gentlemen, you have heard this from a woman. Take heed, take note, replay this again.
So might it be.
Well, and this goes back to the prudence discussion, is that our society does not like temperance. They want you to buy. They want you to consume. They want you to do more.
Right.
Get more, buy more, do more, go, go, go.
They want you impulsive.
Absolutely.
And I'd read where prudence is the key to all the other cardinal virtues, because without prudence you can't have temperance, justice, or fortitude, and it really shows, because you have to have that common sense of knowing when to say when with temperance, and it's not just to do with alcohol, but it's just with anything.
So it's like
Correct.
the glue that holds the others together.
Right, and temperance is, I think, as our brother had commented on social media, where we're severely lacking. Justice, you can argue that one. Fortitude, there are some real go-getters. But when it comes to temperance and prudence, that's where we're really lacking, I think, as a society.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I'm looking forward to discussing justice, because I believe there is a big difference between the Masonic definition of justice and society's definition. Yeah.
I'll have to get to that. I'm excited to hear that. But all right, I think it's time we wrap this up. And does anybody have any other comments on temperance and prudence?
No, I'm good.
No,
All right,
Tyler?
good.
Nope, we're good.
All right, and I'd like to thank you, Susan, for joining us, and we'll have you back next week for the rest of it, because I see you chomping at the bit for justice and fortitude. So,
Absolutely.
all right. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Lakota Overton, a Network Global independent distributor. Have you tried that crazy wrap thing that helps you tighten, tone, and firm? If you're curious for more information, you can visit her at her website at www.lacotaoverton.com or call her at 701-290-9544.
And if you know of any Masonic or appendant body activities coming up in the Bakken area, you can visit our website at www.bakkenmasons.com and click on the trestle board. If you have any comments or suggestions on an episode, you can contact us at our website, our Facebook page at facebook.com/BakkenMasons, Twitter at BakkenMasons.com, email us at contact@BakkenMasons.com, or leave us a voicemail at 701-484-1512. And if you are discussing a show, topic, or the podcast with friends online, we encourage the use of the hashtag BakkenMasons.
The time has come for us to say goodbye. So for Brother Nolan, Brother Tyler, and myself, we'd like to thank you for listening and look forward to you joining us again. Next week we will continue our discussion on the 4 cardinal virtues as we discuss fortitude and justice. Until then, be Masonic proud. And now I leave you with these parting words. Do you just belong? Are you an active member, the kind that would be missed? Or are you just content that your name is on the list? Do you attend the meetings and mingle with the flock? Or do you stay at home and criticize and knock? Do you take an active part to help the work along? Or are you satisfied to be the kind that just belongs? Do you ever go and visit a member that is sick, or leave the work to a few and talk about the clique? Think this over, member. You know right from wrong. Are you an active member, or do you just belong? So mote it be.